Yeah, I think before you start anything, you have to count the cost. So you have to know, look, this will require hard decisions. It will require a tough character. So I think as you build whatever you build, make sure you build your character as well.
All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the 1% Better podcast. I'm joined today by Tanya. I'm going to turn it over to her to give a quick intro and we'll get it started.
Hi guys, and hi Matt. Thanks again for having me on the show. I'm so super stoked to be here. Yeah, I met Matt on Threads, which is a lovely app that we all kind of just hang on and hang out in. And yeah, I'm just here to hear what he wants to ask me today, and hopefully I can share something of value or inspiration to you guys.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously, we met on Threads and you have a wellness brand. Would love to kind of hear about your journey to entrepreneurship and, how that all got started.
Yeah. Well, I have all of my life, I've been super interested in wellness. Before I became a professional artist and designer and photographer, I was actually going to study diet to become a dietitian. I've been into fitness since I was very young. Saw my dad running every morning and wanted to be like him, but joined a gym as a teenager and I've never stopped. If I could be like Forrest, just running and just never stop, I would, because for the love of. But holistic well-being and eating healthy and just always choosing wellness from more than just eating and exercising and sleeping has been important to me. So fast forward a couple of at least 2 decades as a professional artist and designer and photographer. I then started a brand, which is a wellness brand, but in essence, our company is a self-care lifestyle company. So we believe that self-care is an important thing for yourself to do in order so you give it to the world around you. Um, and our company in itself, we have different aspects that we want to focus on. We started with our facial and body oils because it's more than just the skin, but that's a beauty care side of it. Holistic well-being is really what we're after, and there's a financial aspect, and that's a second business we're busy building, and we believe in relational well-being. So it's all about actually the art of living well, right? But it comes from the point of view of start with taking care of yourself, your body, your soul, your mind, your spirit, your relationships, and then show up as strong as possible in this world and live with passion, live with authenticity, live with curiosity. Those are and just through the lens of beauty, and I think the fact that I grew up that way, with the way my dad taught me to look at the wonders of life, but also naturally as an artist, I do look for the beautiful in life. And so my encouragement to people always is, how can we bring out the beauty? How can we add a touch of beauty to any moment, or look for it even in the worst of days or moments? Is just just maybe there's some hidden beauty gem here. So yeah, hope that answers.
Yeah, no, and I like that message about always looking for the good. I think there's always two sides to every situation, whether like you want to believe in silver linings, but I always think that there's something you can learn from, whether it's good, bad, neutral, it doesn't matter. There's always, I feel, a positive that we can all take away from it. So would love to kind of dive a little bit more into like your business, the logistics behind it. How was it building it? Some challenges you might have encountered, because I know that today there's a lot of people who've tried drop shipping or other types of businesses. But doing a commerce brand where you're actually selling a physical product, that's something that often people struggle with just because of logistics behind supply chain, filling delivery. So we'd kind of love to hear, your take on that and how you overcame any challenges there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's been a super big learning curve for us doing this, because we've I've been entrepreneurial all of my life, but it's always been in the digital space or in the service industry space. So when I was a wedding and fashion photographer, I had real-time clients. I do a service. Or when I was doing graphic design services or creating products for downloads, that's all digital, right? But actually having a product manufactured and then sold is a whole nother ball game. And in our case, we have our beautiful oils made and manufactured in the heart of South Africa. But we only sell it in the USA. So I'm so sorry to all our listeners that are based outside of the US. It's not yet available in any other country. But as much as it's beautifully crafted in South Africa, all by hand, it is made in small batches. So we constantly have to take care of not running out of stock, because there's a couple of weeks of production that we have to take in mind. It has to be shipped here, then reaching port, it has to get into to the fulfillment center, and that third-party fulfillment center does the fulfilling on our behalf. So when people come to our website, they can order, and then that company how many different parts of the supply chain are actually involved, and just one has to fold for anything to collapse. Now, we've been very blessed with an incredible formulator doing our oils. We have a great third-party fulfillment center, but we have to keep our finger on the pulse, because there are things that go wrong. Certain times we've had shipment not being received, and we have to follow up and get the right documentation. Or we had to, through trial and error, figure out which party to use in order to fulfill it. Should we even do it ourselves? Should we stock all that inventory? But I think pro-COVID and the way the world has been going, all of us have this need and desire, well, many, I can't say all, but many of us have a need to work remotely. So in essence, we wanted to have this company, but we didn't want to fulfill, so that we can still get on a plane and go and travel, and business keeps going. But so far, all our clients have been happy. We've not received any returns on product, and I know many product companies, when they sell things, have to deal with returns. We do have a return policy, because I believe that's part of good commerce. You have to make people feel like they can trust the brand, but they have the ability to opt out if they feel the product isn't right for them. So yeah,
that's great. And you mentioned there that you've now done physical, you've done services in the past, you've also done digital businesses. You being the common denominator throughout all those different types of products and businesses, what has been your mindset going through? Like, what's allowed you to succeed in all those different areas? Because some of them are quite different from both a business model perspective, and then how you're interacting with, whether it's clients or customers. What are some lessons you've learned along the way there?
Yeah, so I'm very, very, very much a people person. I love people. I love connecting and communicating. And so for me, it was incredible when I did my photography, because it was way more than photography. I felt I could strike up these deep conversations and relationships with people and add more value to them, so they can walk away from there with more than photography, right? So e-commerce is different, because it's just about product. So the big difference is, with product, you can scale. With services, unless you then become a company where you have more people that can offer similar services, it's not scalable. I can't scale myself. I can only do, let's say, let's use an example of wedding photography. I can only photograph one, maybe two weddings at most on a Saturday, or maybe over a weekend, right? So I would then need a team of photographers in order to do that. So that's way different. For me, it's so important that I keep this personal touch to this business of ours, that we have now found an app. It's called, for those of you that are interested, oh, come on. I don't know. The name has just escaped me, because I have to look into it. But basically, you record a little video soon after that you've processed their order, just to say, hey, thank you so much for your order. I hope you really enjoy the product. It's a few seconds, and it sends it to them via an email. And that is just an incredible way to keep that connection, so that they can look into your eyes, see that they matter. Because even if I have 1 million people buying from me, I want everyone to think they were not just a number on an invoice. They were actually a human buying from me. So that's the important part. The other thing is, like I said, the scalability. I also want to bring out digital products over time, so that Jamel is not just about our oils. Like I said, it's a holistic self-care lifestyle company. So I will bring out meditations, and we will have other downloads. I'm busy writing a book. There will be courses, all kinds of things, so that wellness can come to people in different ways, because at the end of the day we also receive things differently. Some of us want to hear things, others want to
Hmm.
touch, others want to smell, and I'm just trying to come from a holistic point of view in and delivering a holistic well-being message.
Yeah. And you mentioned there at the beginning, providing value. I think that's something that, especially young people in my generation, maybe a little younger, coming out of school, there's a huge emphasis on money, whether it be a job or their business they're starting. I mean, listen, obviously, money is necessary to live, and it's a big part of life. But I like the way you framed value. Can you touch on like the difference? Because I think there is a difference between value and money, especially as someone who's run businesses before, service and product. Like how you kind of approach that concept of providing value for your customers.
Well, value is definitely measured differently by different people, and I don't think any one person can please everybody ever in this world. So
Hmm.
that's why we all have our niche, our little tribe, those that we have in mind when we create this product or service, right? Um, so for me, it's about people that value well-being, people that value living well, people that wanna level up in life, that wanna be the best versions of themselves. Those are the people, and it's not restricted to age or gender, but
Hmm.
it's literally to the with this, people with that kind of mindset. And the value that I want to offer them is that they walk away and feeling my life is a little bit better because I've bought this product. Plus, I always come from a point of view of I have long-term visions with things. I like
Hmm.
to buy quality, but I look after it and I keep it for a very long time. And I want whatever I produce for people to feel like this is made with craft and with quality and with thoughtfulness and with care and with heart. And it either lasts them well, or in the case of it might not last them that long, but it provided them with beautiful experience, a great feeling of calmness, or the skin was glowing well, just that feeling of this was so worthwhile. And we measure that value differently. So
Hmm.
I don't know if I can put a real definition to it, or if I can answer that question well, but I just feel like it has to be this exchange of you give me money in exchange for the product or the service I offer you, and you feel, yes, that fulfilled my need, and I was happy to offer you money in return. Then I also feel um, people should not have a bad attitude about money or asking for it. If you deliver a service well, I don't know if you know about the Maoris. The Maoris, they live in New Zealand and in the islands around New Zealand. And they just have this code of honor with which they carry themselves. And one day, one of these Maori speakers, they spoke to a large group of us, and they said, in their culture, there is no money shame. It's literally this exchange of it's my honor to give you something, and it's your honor to give me money in return. It's just that beautiful exchange, right? But you have to always, and I do, try to come from a point of what is fair. I do not believe in overcharging people. I do not believe in tricking people or in having a get rich quick. It's just, okay, let's just grow. Let's build something, because I want people that buy from me or that get a service from me to feel, I want to come back. How do you retain the person that has bought from you? You make them feel great, not just about the purchase, but also about the brand. So the brand in itself has to stand for value.
Yeah. Um, so many great points there. I mean, the first, I definitely agree. One, it's hard to define value, but I think you hit the nail on the head with saying you want the customer to feel good, and it's fair. I think is a good way to explain it. I think the problem with money is that people sometimes they'll feel like, oh, they're just trying to get rich off me, or this seems like they didn't deliver on their promise. I think those are the things that come into question surrounding what it is to truly build value and build that long-term relationship. And I think your mention of branding is only going to get more important. I think that between technology advancements, the way social media has worked, and how it probably will evolve over time, building communities around certain brands is probably going to be the most effective, sales tactic, growth tactic that there is. I mean, if you just look at any subset of the most successful like online communities, it's the monetization part is easy, right? Like the growing part is easy once you get that flywheel going of just people coming back to you for you and for what you're offering, and I think that's going to be a huge theme going forward.
And Matt, a very well-known marketer, he used to say, make big, outrageous promises that you'll keep, but make them to your customers. Then keep them. Then make new promises again and keep them. Because what do you want at the end of the day? You want their trust. If you have the trust, then you build more than a customer. You build a family, you build a community, you build, a tribe
Mm-hmm.
that feel like there is this mutual value going on. And then people want to pay you for your product or service because they want you to stay in business, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely agree. I would like to jump into, you know, you being an artist, how that's translated. I know that that's not as much as what you do professionally now, but how have you seen that translate into your business life and into your life in general? Because I think, being an artist is a lot more than just a profession. I think it comes from within and there's a lot more to it. So we'd kind of love to hear your story about that and the influence it's had on you.
Yeah, I think, like you said, art is not just limited to your physical output, as in, here's my art piece that I drew or illustrated or painted. It's actually a frame of mind, I think. I, I feel blessed that I am an artist because everything is inspirational to me. The sky and the flowers and people and even dead leaves, everything I feel has a story, and I feel I have this ability to see it. But then I also feel I have this responsibility because um, we all have gifts, but our gifts are not for us. Our gifts are for the world out there. So then it's how I translate things that I see or experience. I'm hoping to then translate for others so that hopefully they can also see, because it touches the soul. So many things are for our brains. Maths are not for the soul. Maths are so important. I love mathematics. I do. Um,
Yeah.
but it is not for my soul. It's for my mind. I love to use my mind, but art is for the soul, right? So, like I said, the premise of our business as a self-care lifestyle company is literally to add a touch of beauty to everyday living. And that is the baseline for everything. And then physically, sure, I've designed the website. Sure, I've designed all the packaging, every single visual, everything we do socially. I design that. Even if when we start to scale further, I would still be overseeing it all because I do like to work in a team, but I do want to feel like there's one vision that carries it forward, because then there's that unity. And I feel art is also about a story, and it's a storytelling, and that's where the brand comes in. The brand is not the logo. The brand is, how does this company show up in the public's eye? What's the vibe that we're trying to create? Are we cool and calm and peaceful, or are we vibrant and busy and hectic? And there's so many beautiful brand stories out there, and we're hoping that people can come to us and say, okay, this is what we're experiencing from you.
Yeah. And from there we can jump just right into, I think holistic well-being is something that's one, I think, misunderstood by a lot of people, especially like in Western medicine. But I would love to kind of hear you explain it a little bit more as your experience with it. I believe you're writing a book on that topic as well. So I would love to kind of just hear your thoughts on defining holistic well-being and what you think some maybe misunderstandings are, or some things that people could understand a little bit better about how to practice it.
Yeah. I think a word that we use often in nowadays society is balance. And people really focus on work-life balance. First of all, I don't think that there is such a thing as work-life balance. I think it's just a matter of life balance. Because we have so many different aspects, and sometimes some areas get a bit more attention than other attention. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, I believe it's about how you show up. And you want to show up strong, you want to show up healthy, you want to contribute to the world and society, hopefully. And in order to do that, you have to be well. If you're unwell or out of balance, there's a part of you that is crying out for some help and some need and some care, and that is fine. But then you have to take care and bring that back into harmony. So I think it's about an equilibrium, and just keeping your finger on the pulse and realize, look, I'm a multifaceted being. I have relationships. I do need to eat. I do need to sleep. I do need to work. What do I choose? Who do I align myself with? So relational well-being is, okay, who's in my circle? And maybe take some stock once or twice a year and just say, okay, I'm just going to check in with myself, right? Because I have a vision for my life and I live intentionally, and are the things and the people that I allow in alignment, right? So relational well-being are your relationships. Do I eat and exercise and sleep the way I should? So that's your physical well-being. Your emotional well-being, do I do things that bring life to me? Do I do things that bring exhilaration, that makes me feel that fire, that makes me feel alive? Do I have intellectual well-being? So do I read? Do I study? Do I stretch my thinking? Do I expose myself to new ways, new perspectives? Spiritual well-being is feeling that you have the sense of purpose in life. Like, why am I actually here? And that's a topic that I can talk a lot of, because I don't feel it's out there. I think you just know, and you are purpose. You carry purpose with you everywhere you go. And then financial well-being. Look, it's this, and that's the other business we are busy creating right now, is teaching people financial literacy so that you can build this plan of wealth over the long term and it works for you. Yeah, and so as soon as something is out of balance, that's okay. But if you keep your finger on the pulse of your life, you keep checking in with yourself, you can say, okay, I need to make a little bit of an adjustment there. I need to get some more information on this side. And yeah, so that's my view.
Yeah. No, that was a great definition. And I want to dig into the point you made before, the finance, about purpose. I think there's a lot of people that are lost in the world, and I think that the internet and social media have kind of exacerbated that issue, because now there's just there's this sense of unlimitedness. I think people
Yeah.
there's too many options and too few options at the same time, I think, for some people. So I would love to kind of hear, your thinking on finding your purpose, and then like how you can harness that in day-to-day life.
Yeah, I must start with what makes you feel alive. Because to each of us, it's something different. You, Matt, you have worked out amazing systems, um, and I won't take over your story, but you have gone through what you've gone through, and it's given you a passion, and you want to share that with the world. That's your purpose. So we each can use what we've gone through, or what we feel is this strong pull inside of us. Sometimes it's something that makes you angry, like you might be infuriated by women trafficking. Well, maybe it's because you are meant to play a role in that. Maybe your voice is needed. Maybe that fire that you feel about it could lead that forward. Well, go and discover that. Do some voluntary work in an area where you have an interest. Learn the skill. See if this is what you could take further, and then find a way to monetize it, right? So let's say you feel, oh, I love writing, but I have no idea how I will one day be a good writer. Start with the basics every single day. Just write 15 minutes, anything, just write. But every single day show up. Or if you feel like, I want to be an artist, but I can't draw, learn to draw. You can. There's whatever you want to be, you can be that. But listen to yourself. I think it is such an undervalued skill that people are not taught. Um, but I just want for everyone to trust their own voice, because it speaks loudly. It really does. I just think we sometimes held back by fear, but sometimes we held back by regret. Sometimes I think we don't go out there to try something new because we might regret the choices we've made or not made. Sometimes it's fear of failure, but it's not all the time. I just want to encourage you, there is no such thing. I mean, people remember you for your successes, even if it's just 6 big things in your life. But how many different failures would you have had on your path there? Many, many more. But that's how you get there. is you learn from each one. Each one is there to teach you something. And sometimes there's such a thing as a happy accident. You might stumble upon a whole new idea just because you were cutting a pineapple in a different way than you normally did. And you're like, oh my word, I have never thought of, maybe I should have this type of pineapple cutter that I can create. Whatever it is, But just try things out, especially the things that you feel, I'm curious about that. So go where curiosity leads you, go where passion leads you, go where you feel alive. Try things out, align yourself with people, call people and say, can I be your shadow for a day? Whatever. But put yourself out there and in no time you'll be like, man, this is me. I'm actually contributing to the world. I've actually said something today that changed somebody's life. And yeah, it's real and it has to happen.
Yeah. And I really like the pineapple analogy because there have been so many times where, especially like everyday things, where you've been doing it one way or you were taught one way and that's just the way you do it. And then again, for whatever reason, maybe you do it differently and you're like, oh my God, like I never even thought that I could just take this
Yes.
whole other approach to something.
Yes.
Um, and I like the message about, putting yourself out there. I know, like, obviously you've been building in public. I think that's a pretty common phrase now that a lot of people hear. I would love to kind of get your thoughts on putting yourself out there and building in public and your experience with that.
Okay, that is actually a victory journey. So I did not start off that way. I was just so, as a young person, all about I have to do it right. Until it's right, I can't put it out there. But social media completely upended that silly fantasy of mine and made me value the idea of no, build in public because people want to build with you, and it's about this community while you're building, but also the feedback. Because how can you sit in isolation, really think about it, create this so-called perfect product, then say, world, I created something for you, and everybody's like, we didn't want this? Where, whereas if you get your prototype out there, I don't know if you've seen the movie on the BlackBerry, but how they had to create this prototype overnight, literally overnight. It's a recent movie, and they had to put together cardboard and I don't know, all kinds of things from toys and stuff because the next morning they had to go and pitch. And the guys doing the prototype was not impressed. Were not impressed because they felt this is not going to be perfect. But that mock-up prototype created what became the BlackBerry phone. So that's just one diversion. But what I'm trying to get to is that building in public makes you create these iterations and actually perfect it while you get the feedback. It's like, okay, here's version 1. You realize people are like, yeah, I don't like that part of what you've done, but I've loved this. And then you start maximizing more on this. And then people's feedback are like, that's actually great. Now, what about this? So it's not just asking for opinions. It's literally just put it out there. Put yourself out there. So what if you made a blunder? So what if people didn't like it? So what if it cost you money again? Because sometimes, Alex Hormozy actually said it. He said, okay, so you can write 2 months. You can take 2 months and write this book. And then you spend the rest of your life trying to sell that book, working hard to sell that book. Or in his case, he wrote a book that took him 2 years to write. And every single month, he sells more than the month before. He's now selling 1,000 per day because he took his time, but also kept on showing up. He did his talks. He showed up on the internet. He got his feedback from his community. So in a way, he built that book, which is also a bigger message, which was the first of 3 books and more to come in public, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that also reminded me of, I think it was Stanford. A bunch of Stanford professors did this study with art students, where they gave one group of students like whatever, let's call it a week. They said, okay, you have a week, to come up with the best. I think they were making like pottery, like clay pots, whatever, and they said, all right, this group, you guys have a week to come up with the best pot you can come up with. And another group, they said, just make as many pots as you can. And the original thesis was like the people who were told like make the best one, they were going to make the best one. But the reality was the group that made 100 and 100 and 100 pots came out with the better versions. Then the ones who are sitting down trying to make just that one perfect version.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the iteration and just getting the reps in gets you closer to whatever your idea of perfect is, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah,
What's perfect to me is different than what's perfect to you, and vice versa. So,
absolutely.
there's different ways to go about it. And I
Also,
think,
Matt,
yeah, you
that
go. Go
sorry,
ahead.
but that concept of synergy, right? One plus one
Mhm.
is three. It's
Yeah.
like my ideas might be great, but you add your ideas to it, and suddenly we have an exponential result, and then build on that exponential equation, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think Hermosi is also just a fantastic example of what like showing up every day looks like, and just long term over short term. I think he kind of lives by that, and is
Yeah.
leading by example in that category for sure. Um, I would love to kind of jump into, your approach to making difficult decisions and how you handle those times. Like, what is your mindset going through that? Obviously, being someone who's building multiple businesses, like you're going to encounter hard times both in personal life and in business. How do you approach those situations?
Yeah, I think before you start anything, you have to count the cost. So you have to know, look, this will require hard decisions. It will require a tough character. So I think as you build whatever you build, make sure you build your character as well. So at any time, ask yourself, can my character hold where the business is going? Can I have a thick enough skin? Do I can I withstand criticism? Can I handle stress? Can I deal with the lack of sleep? Can I deal with the ups and downs that come with people working with or for you, right? So it's all those personal skills that you have to build in parallel with your actual business. Um, well, I have cultivated a strong mind over the years. I've used challenging situations and difficult times as teachers. I have always thought whatever I can overcome now is sort of leverage for the future. So it's a thing of, okay, it might be uncomfortable. I might not want to sit in this space, but the quicker I learn my lesson, the quicker I'll get out of this, and the better equipped I'll be for the next time, because challenges will not stop. They might even just level up, but you must make sure that you level up with them. Um, and it's that thing of, if you don't want to learn your lesson, you go around the same mountain again and again and again and again, because life wants you to learn that lesson. So yeah, I just think embrace it. So okay, life and I, we're good, we're friends, and life wants to wants to throw me this stuff because it has my well-being in mind. So I must better just trust and say, okay, I'm just going to trust the universe that whatever is coming my way is for my betterment. And then with that approach, it almost becomes playful. It's not so dramatic and so hectic and so devastating. It's like, okay, I have to make a hard decision, but the temporary. Um, Here's the saying: outlast the temporary. The pain of the momentary difficult decision might be painful. So we're not saying it's not going to be there and trying to, say we're not human, but we're saying we will get through this. This too shall pass, right? And if your why is strong enough, like, why am I in this business? Why am I in this relationship? Why am I doing what I'm doing? That pulls you through. You can write it down. I definitely think a vision has to be written down. Your why has to be on paper. And you can go back to it in the heart. I'm like, why am I actually doing this? Because this hurts so much. Well, this is why. And now I'm getting through it. I think that's as light as that you should approach it with. Nothing more.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you mentioned there, leveling up and the challenges that come with that. There is like a very popular, saying is like embrace the discomfort, and how, growth comes out of discomfort. Are you someone who likes getting out of your comfort zone? A lot of people feel that that's kind of the way that people grow, is just getting into new and difficult situations, but that's how you learn more about yourself and how to get there along the way. And I think a lot of people are afraid of change or challenges. They feel maybe they're not ready. What would you say to those people, and how do you look at those situations?
Okay, so here's the thing. I think it's a muscle. Having the ability to to get your to to deal well with discomfort, it has to be a strong muscle. And with anything, you have to practice it. So here's my little tip. Do fitness every single morning, because it gets you out of that comfort zone every single day. You have to get up out of the warm and cozy bed. You have to maintain that. Whether it's winter, whether it's wet, whether it's dark, whether it's cold, whether you've not slept enough. I tell you, I started with fitness when I was 16. I'm way older than that now. And I have never stopped, ever. So daily, I push myself. Daily, I do that 1 rep more, that 1 minute more, that one extra, one more, whatever that is. So I push myself, or I give myself a challenge. I do that first few seconds of a shower ice cold. I do not like that moment at all. But there is that sense of, great, now I can get into the hot shower, but I'm uncomfortable. So that when life brings discomfort, and life does not bring it to you every single day, but when life brings those big moments of suck, really, of discomfort into your world, then you're like, okay, no, I'm good, because discomfort is not here to last. I have it daily. I'm okay. I'm fit. It's a muscle I've been training. So you definitely have to build your network before you need them, and you definitely have to build your muscles before you want to use them, and you definitely have to build your sense of being okay with discomfort before life throws you the discomfort.
Yeah. That was pretty great. I was actually going to ask about cold showers. I was going to go there after, but you already mentioned it because that's the one that everyone is
Sorry.
like, no, no, no. It's such a trend now. So I love kind of hearing if people do it or not, because people are pretty divided on that. Some people are like, like it's not worth it, or I don't see the benefit. But no,
It's
I
a
think
mind thing. It's a
it is a
mind thing.
mind thing. Yeah, it definitely is. Um, so I would like to kind of bridge this into, you know, how you plan, like forward thinking your vision for your business, but for your life. How do you go about strategizing around that, or planning for it and then executing to get there? Because those are two very different things, and I think that a lot of times people are really good planners, but then they can't execute, or people are really good executors, but they can't plan. And it seems to me that you've been able to do both very well. So I would like to kind of hear your approach to that.
Well, I'm a very intentional person, and I can thank my dad for it, and very disciplined as well. So, as much as I'm an artist, and you can think that comes with chaos, that's not the case for me. So, I'm so grateful. So, I think discipline is a skill that's literally a survival skill. I don't think it's negotiable in life. It's like you've got to be disciplined, you've got to be intentional, and you've got to be consistent. Without those three qualities, it's almost, it doesn't help talking about what you want to build in life. You have to have those three in place. They kind of your bodyguards, your foundations, they're your rock, they're your go-tos. They will keep you in check. They will keep you going. So develop those three things first. And then being intentional is, I also have these different compartments in my life. I don't compartmentalize my life, but what I want to try and say is I am aware that I have these different aspects of my life, like I mentioned, the different aspects of well-being, and I have a vision. Like, what do I envision for my friendships? That means I know who I choose as friends or allow close to me, because everybody shouldn't have access to you. It's not possible. You only have 24 hours a day, right? So who do you allow close to, and to you? What do you eat? Because this is the weight you want to maintain, or this is the fitness level you want to have, or this is the financial state I want to get to. Our financial business we're starting, and it will be launched so shortly. But that's all about building your $1 million wealth plan over time. But it's $1 million wealth plan. In other words, it starts with the intention of you want to reach your $1 million, and this is then why, and then you work it backwards. There was this one philosopher, he's a Danish philosopher, and Kierkegaard, and he said, define your life backwards, then live it forwards. So in other words, imagine you're 84, 75, or whatever you consider the end of your life. Now I wish I have lived my life. You literally write down, go somewhere, go to the beach, go to a park, write at write that out and say, you know what? I want to be a person of this character. I want to have these kind of people in my life. I want to build this with my gifts and talents. I want to live this kind of lifestyle. And then you start dissecting them, and ask yourself, okay, where am I today? And don't get depressed. Just be realistic and face the truth, and then say, okay, what do I need to bridge the gaps between where I am and where I want to be, so I can ultimately look back and think, I've lived the life that I wanted to live.
Yeah. Um, that brings up a great point to the writing it down, because I can't emphasize enough. Listen, I'm only 24. I haven't done like a ton with my life in terms of like goal setting, but the amount of times I found like an old notebook that had something written down in it that had come true, and I didn't even realize that I had written it down like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. It really has been like kind of mind boggling. So anyone who's listening out there, I definitely recommend you write down
Yeah.
whatever you want your reality to be, because you're just one step closer for it making, it happen. And I'm as much of a technologist as I am, I do believe writing it on pen and paper is like a little bit more effective to your like
Yes.
subconscious. So I highly recommend you have a notebook somewhere, write it down, really plan who you want to be, because that's the other thing that I've heard a lot about is like talk about it in the present as if you already have it, and it like
Yeah.
you can kind of make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
Write down the ways that how would you want to act 20 years from now, and start acting like that now.
Yeah.
um, you also brought up the idea of time. I think, especially, during COVID, the rise of like TikTok and short form media, I think that a lot of people have gotten so short sighted. And I don't think it's anyone's particular fault. I just think it's the way that media and society has evolved a bit, especially with our online lives. So I would like to kind of hear how you think about the long term, because obviously the long term is still what we're going for and what we should be thinking about. So how do you, combat maybe that tendency of being short-sighted or wanting, the gratification now versus putting it off and really working for the long term?
Maybe it helps to get some mentors that whole philosophy. I find that's the beauty of the internet. We can have mentors without them even knowing that they are mentors. We follow them on YouTube or social media, and we just get to understand that kind of mindset. I have a long-term vision. I do not think small minded, but I'm not a Gen Zer, so I might not understand how to think short-sightedly, because my
Mhm.
generation is more, let's do the long term view. But I do want to encourage everybody, it's not an old fashioned way of thinking. It is a survival skill. You have
Mm,
to think
mm,
long term. You have to think generationally. You have to think in terms of, my influence today will impact somebody else's life, which will impact somebody else's life. So your words matter, your decisions matter, your healing or lack of healing matters. Every choice we make either gives somebody else permission to work on themselves, or makes life better, or it tears it down, right? So it's we cannot live just in the now, but we have to be present as well. So it's that
mhm.
fine balance between, you know where you're going, and then you're fully alive and present in where you are, but you also have the ability to pivot. So you're not rigid in terms of, this is where I have to be in 5 years, but have this idea of, look, I want to go in the direction of, I want to live in this country, or I want to f- take my work life into this direction. But then be curious and pivot and be fluid enough so you can pivot and, like, actually, I always used to think I want to live in Iceland, but maybe Greenland is a better idea because dot dot dot. So it still aligns with that idea of, you want to live in X,
Mhm.
but this is a better idea now that you have more information available. You see?
Yeah.
You will just never have all the information available when you start,
Yep.
especially when you start your vision. But
Yep.
align yourself with people that are similar to who you think you want to be, or live the life you want to live, and learn from
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Again, so many things I want to react to there. The first one is I'm a huge proponent of being fluid. I mean, personally, for me, I just find it that doing the thing that I think I want to do is the best way for me to figure it out. And then it's easy for me to be good with a decision, like whether it's yes or no, like just hands-on experience. And I think what you said is important too. Just be present, like have a plan, but enjoy the process of getting to wherever you're going to go. Like no one really knows where they're going to be in 20
Nah.
years, right? Like, and that's kind of, I think, the beauty in it, is, you have to just enjoy the process. Like Hermosi, Gary Vee, like they all kind of talk about that the ones that are going to get where they want to be are the ones that just enjoy the day to day of figuring it out, because you'll never get bored of that. But if you're only focused on getting to that one end goal, it's going to be really hard to stay motivated if you don't wind up there, or you take a completely different way of getting there. And one of the other things that made me laugh was at the beginning when you're talking about, like, you're not a Gen Zer, so your mindset is different. But you said it's not a bad thing, or not an old school way of thinking. My mom, like, always used to, there was this country song that she liked where it talked about everything being automatic now. And when I was a kid, I was like, nah, like, whatever, like, this is definitely a better way of doing things. But as I've gotten older, like, I do actually appreciate that a lot more. So for, people who are closer to my age, we do have such a, like, immediacy because we just grew up with the internet, and things don't take us as long as they used to. But that doesn't mean we need to live our life like that. We can enjoy the benefits without it making us short-sighted. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was all great. I would like to kind of hear, your thoughts on, maybe just speak to the younger generation being at where you are and how you've gotten there, and maybe just give some words of advice to people who really want to branch out on their own, or maybe take a different path than the traditional, like, way that the system has worked. What would be some of your advice for that?
Wow. Well, I can take this in so many different directions. For me, I grew up in South Africa, and South Africa was behind the world for many reasons. We, for example, only got television in 1975.
Hmm.
So we grew up, and television was then only from 6 p.m. So television wasn't a part of growing up. It was a nighttime thing that you did after dinner and maybe for an hour. So we were definitely raised with nature and your garden playing a massive role. We were constantly playing outside. I think playing outside is so underrated. If kids can just be outside more, they will grow. It will be better. But
Yeah.
technology is also amazing. So, but I do think the number one skill that will help us survive is not the, are we into AI? Do we do AI? Well, yes, please. That's a fantastic topic on its own. But one thing that's underlying everything else is the whole thing of we humans, we're going to always interact with humans. Do you understand people? Do you have people skills? Do you have the soft skills needed to do negotiations? Do you understand your mate, your pal, your friend, your partner, your parents, your kids? Do you understand people? And keep honing those skills. I think that's the biggest survival skill, and that's timeless, right? Because your generation, my generation, Facebook versus TikTok, yes, sure, it's all the same. It's at the end of the day about people. It's about people have needs. Maybe they express it differently, but people get lonely. People get hungry. People get bored. They get frustrated. They need purpose. They want good relationships. So the needs don't change, right? It's just how we fulfill them. But if we can do things that slow us down a little, despite our very fast moving world, we will feel a bit more grounded. That's why I do my daily stretch exercises, because I'm such an on the go person. I would just do cardio, but I had to teach myself, no, do slower exercises as well, that I can just breathe, or learn the art of breathing, or learn to just sit and watch the ocean without being on your phone. Learn to write things down by hand and not just type it out. Learn, in my case, I do drawings from scratch and not just tell things for AI, which has its place. But this is how I slow myself down. Another way, again, from South Africa, doing a safari, for example, watching those animals, how slowly they walk and chew and do their thing, but they're always on the move. They get stuff done, so to speak, but they're not rushed. There's a difference between keep pushing your life forward and being rushed, because, like they say, the rushing is for the fool. And I'm not trying to say we are full rushing, but just take care that rushing doesn't become the thing that actually makes you lose touch with reality and with your life vision.
Yeah. And that reminds me of and I just pulled it up now. I posted this yesterday, but it reminded me of like this quote that I saw. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Because I think
Yes,
I use nature a lot too as like a real like reminder to just relax and chill out.
yes,
Because it you know it was here way before we were,
yes.
and things just it works out. So I think nature is a great way to kind of ground yourself in the moment. I would like to open up the last few minutes to you to kind of give whatever message you want. The floor is yours. I'm not going to ask any more questions. So whatever you want to kind of project out there for the last few minutes, it's all on you.
Oh, thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
I think I've said so much already, but I just want to give an overall message of every one of you matter, honestly. And my wish for you is that you know your value, that you know your worth, and that you will say no to any negative voice that has ever told you you're useless or you can't accomplish anything, or that anything that has brought you down. That is absolutely untrue. You can do whatever you want to do, but you can especially be whoever you want to be. You can always reinvent yourself. You can always start over and live from a heart of passion. Live from a heart of you want to feel, you want to experience deeply. Be curious and then just go. Just go for it, and see where that takes you and make adjustments along the way and celebrate life. Absolutely celebrate life.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this has been a pleasure, Tanya. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely have to have you on again and do a follow up. For everyone listening, in the description down below will be links to. I think the product is the finance product done, or is it still
Yes,
being?
that will go live within the next
Okay.
week. So
Okay.
I'm sure if you watch this video a week after it was
Yeah.
launched, you will have it. But the links will be there. It's called thecoolmillionreport.com. We will
Cool.
also be on TikTok, so it's specifically connected to TikTok. It's all about
Okay.
FinTok, and it's for the Gen Z
Okay.
generation, but it's for
Yeah.
everybody else as well. And it will be a pleasure to see you there. So please come and support us. Come and follow us, and you'll see my face on many of the
Yeah.
videos.
Awesome.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, thank you so much, Tanya.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Wait, I did not mean
Hi.
to leave.
We're off?
No, sorry. Hold on. Thank you to you who made it to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And if the episode helped you at all, feel free to share it with a friend. It really helps us grow organically and reach more people. Follow us on all social media as well. They're all linked in the description, and I'm pretty active on those daily. Check out our newsletter in the description, Mindshift. Mindshift is a new platform to help us think better. If you are someone who is interested in growing your mindset, learning new techniques, creating unique ideas, and want to excel in your given field, I highly recommend you check it out. It's free after all. That's it for today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next pod.